and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. Megalodons are one of the biggest and deadliest sea animals who roam under the waters of the earth. We know that sharks are scary, right? But Megalodon is at least 10 times scarier than sharks because they are dangerous and deadly. However, despite being a bad lord of the sea, the Megalodon still had fierce enemies, and today we'll be checking out 15 of the biggest right now. Number 15, the basking shark. The second largest slow-moving filter feeder living shark in the world, who reach up to lengths of 27 feet, is none other than the basking shark, and is found in all of the world's temperate oceans. Did you know that it mostly eats plankton? Well, yes, it feeds on the surface. It appeared around the Miocene era, so it's possible that it may have ruled the same oceans as the giant Megalodon. If this did happen, the basking shark could be a huge problem for Meg. However, the basking shark aren't carnivores, but if these two animals did exist together, it's hard to say that they would have been each other's lunch, but God knows. Number 14, Thalassomedon. Do you know that the Thalassomedon belongs to a class of plesiosaur? It's the creepiest looking sea monster you'll ever see. It's about 35 feet long, and 19 of those feet are just its neck. In other words, you can say that it's shaped like a tortoise with a long bus neck. Sadly, or perhaps fortunately, it existed in the late Cretaceous era and would have been dead for several millions of years. Therefore, one of the greatest matchups in the history of the world has never happened. Because if the Thalassomedon were alive before the Megalodon would rule the sea, the Meg would have never risen. We'll simply never know. Number 13, MOSASAURUS. With jaws like that, this huge lizard-like and still oddly crocodile-like animal, who lived about 66 million years ago, was a terror to everything it came across. Mosasaurus may look tiny in books or pictures, but they are 58 feet long in length. I mean, it's scary, dude. Scientists believe that it would have eaten literally anything that it came across, including fish of all sizes, and may have included the Megalodon as well. Well, when the Mosasaurus was ruling the waters, this animal hadn't evolved to become the Meg. If these two sea monsters had existed in the same time period, who knows who would have become a lunch feast for whom? As Mosasaurus had powerful jaws, maybe the tables could turn. Well, it's a debate in which none of us could win. Number 12, TYLOSAURUS. The TYLOSAURUS, a scary-looking gigantic sea monster, took its name from its elongated snout that can terrify even the most rugged sea animals. But unlike other sea monsters, it did not have teeth throughout its whole mouth. Although the truly scary thing about this animal wasn't its mouth, but the scary snout and its size that was about 46 feet, as long as 3 school buses. I mean, it's safe to say at this point that the sea monster was no joke. Since TYLOSAURUS was long dead before Meg, I guess Meg should have been thankful that they didn't have the opportunity to clash. And I have a sinking feeling that both the sea monsters preferred it that way. Number 11, LIOPLEURODON. This stuff of nightmares was precisely the LIOPLEURODON, as it was a 36-foot-long, huge carnivorous monster. It had the ruthlessness and aggressiveness of dinosaurs. It's like the Tyrannosaurus Rex that could swim, even faster than its size, and eat everything that it came across. During the Jurassic period, LIOPLEURODON was blurred on as the apex predator, and this 36-foot-long monster was the ruler of the oceans. But unfortunately, this animal couldn't bear the march of evolution and went extinct. After that, the gigantic Megalodon took its place. Number 10, BRYGMOPHYSETER. BRYGMOPHYSETER is smaller than the giant Megalodon and known as the biting sperm whale. It was dated back to around 14 to 15 million years old, estimated to be at least 23 feet long. It had biosonar capabilities and extremely strong enamel-coated 12 teeth in each jaw, and it ate smaller whales, seals, fish, cephalopods, and although probably small megalodons as well. Scientists believe that it hunts in a group, and encounters between the two were extremely plausible, as BRYGMOPHYSETER lived during the time when the Megalodon roamed the oceans. In fact, on a History Channel show called Jurassic Fight Club, the possible meeting of the two sea monsters was reenacted, and a pod of BRYGMOPHYSETERs encountered one hungry Megalodon. When a member of the group became a victim of the Meg's massive jaws, the rest of them escaped quickly. Number 9. ICHTHYOSAURS. The large, dolphin-like marine reptiles, ichthyosaurus, lived during the Mesozoic era, and at least one species survived until about 90 million years ago, into the late Cretaceous. So, it gives a high probability that they roamed in the same oceans as the Megalodon. The reason why they're on this list is that some species had larger, bladed teeth to attack large animals, and some possessed a dorsal fin. Although ichthyosaurs resembled both dolphins and modern fishes, as their limbs had been fully transformed into flippers, their jaws with conical teeth and pointed head could help to catch smaller prey. The undisputed largest marine reptile, a whopping 69 feet long, Schastosaurus existed right about the same time as the Megalodon, and because it has one of the most specialized mouths, it's theorized that the smaller Megalodon preyed on Schastosaurus. Because even without teeth, a full-grown 70-foot Schastosaurus would definitely be more than a mouthful for the Megalodon. Number 8. OTODUS shark. Like most of the species on this list, OTODUS shark is also an extinct shark, and during the Paleocene and Eocene epochs, it belonged to the class of mackerel shark. Well, scientists haven't quite settled down to this conclusion, but there is evidence that OTODUS sharks are actually the predecessors of megalodons. So, it is obvious that they both have existed at the same time period. And if all this is true, then they might have clashed with each other over food, and these fights would have led to the stupid conflicts of power. But unfortunately, we don't have a fossil of the shark, so we can't say what it would look like. But we can say that it had a giant tooth, because scientists have discovered lots of gigantic 2-pound and 4-inch teeth that belong to the species. Its length must have been about 40 feet, less than the Megalodon's, but 40 feet is long enough to cause troubles to the Megalodon. Number 7. LIVYATAN. LIVYATAN is one of the largest predators that would have ever existed, as it has to be estimated 57 feet long. The teeth of this huge monster had the longest biting teeth that any animal ever had, as it measured about 1.2 feet long. Well, sadly, right now, we only have the skull of the species, so we can't say what the animal would have looked like in its time. But because of the shape and size of its jaws and bitey teeth, we can say that it was a predator of immense power. If any animal dares to cross its path, one bite of it could kill them on the spot. This animal must have weighed about 57 tons, so it could easily hunt down the Megalodon, but we can't be sure, because LIVYATAN could be a prey and Megalodon is the predator. But one thing we can be sure of, they both hated each other while crossing each other's paths. Number 6. Lion's mane jellyfish. This lion's mane jellyfish is the most giant jellyfish in the sea world, and it's up to 8 feet wide and a whopping 36.5 meters from top to bottom. It can be a contender for all long sea animals, including the prehistoric Megalodon. Because their huge tentacles that can be more than 1,200 play a role in their weapon cabinet, they're extremely dangerous, and lion's mane jellyfish use them for their own protection and to capture and hunt down their prey. If provoked, they deliver their non-fatal but most painful sting that can make its predators move back, including the Megalodon. Number 5. NOTHOSAURUS. It's a semi-oceanic reptile who lived more than 210 to 240 million years ago during the Triassic period. Nososaurus fossils have been found throughout Europe, North Africa, southwestern, and eastern Asia. It had a long neck, limbs, webbed toes, and a slender body and a tail with a fin, and it measured between 4 and 7 meters long. They used their tail and long webbed toes to swim like authentic swimmers, and some had clawed feet, long needle-sharp teeth that could hunt down the Megalodons too. Number 4. Giant oceanic manta ray. This heftiest ray is actually 7 meters long and weighed 2 tons. and their size is a big turnoff for the predators except for orcas and giant sharks. They hunt down mostly the plankton eaters, and at some point may have joined the megalodons. It was evolved 20 million years ago, so according to the books, the megalodon lived more than 23 million years ago. They both may have encountered each other in the middle of the oceans, or roamed around together. Well, they have an ability to disappear in the face of dangers at a speed of up to 24 kilometers an hour. Number 3. The modern orca. Well, you might be having questions like, how can an orca be a viable enemy of a megalodon? It's totally impossible, right? But orca is an enemy of the meg, because they aren't all about strength, powerful jaws, just like the megalodon. Actually, they are more like an intelligent team and a teamwork cooperation. The modern orca are the superior version of the macroraptorial sperm whale. They're wolves of the sea because they're smarter than the megalodon, and there's no wonder that they're also called killer whales. They are weak and quite smaller in size as compared to the meg, but they roam around in a pod, so most likely their clashes would have ended in the orca's favor. Don't doubt that, because orcas are still around, but the meg? Nah, not so much. And now, let us move on to our subscriber pick of the day. This image was sent to us by one of our subscribers. Similarly, if you ever wish to know more about an image you come across, just send it on over to us. Who knows, we might even feature it in one of our videos. Number 2. This is a picture of a titanoboa, an epic of giant snakes that were the apex predators the world might have ever witnessed. Well, we can guess it, right? Because every animal that has a titan in its name must be huge. Around 65 million years ago, just after the dinosaurs went extinct, these badasses took their place, and their era started. They could kill their prey by constriction, as they weighed 2,500 pounds and were about 50 feet long. They can't compete with Megalodon's size and power, as Megalodon might attack suddenly and chew up its prey, but Titanoboa would hide in camouflage just to wait for its feast. When its prey arrived, it could swallow it and live on it for an entire year, but Megalodon may continue to eat its meal continually. Biologically speaking, Megalodon might be stronger than Titanoboa, but Titanoboa has such a stealthy approach for its survival. Therefore, we can easily say that it's a worthy adversary of Megalodon. Number 1. DUNKLEOSTEUS. It's a monster fish that could grow up to 30 feet long and lived 360 million years ago. It had a beak-like mouth that seemed to be specially made for biting and piercing through armor like its own. This species of fish could fight over territory just like Megalodon, as they've been involved in cannibalistic activities, and because of their efficient jaws, they could hinge them open and snap them shut in a matter of milliseconds. But they went extinct before Megalodon. Otherwise, their fight would be an interesting thing to watch. No one knows what DUNKLEOSTEUS looked like, but this fish certainly was a kind to Megalodon should keep a distance from.